your beautiful business, Pizza Inn.
Well, thank you, sir.
I remember when it was, a lot of people's not going to know this because it's like local. So I remember when it was over, like across from Ward's, over by
over on Magna.
Closet.
Yep. We were there.
Is this a bigger unit than that was, or what?
It's actually about the same size, to be honest with you. Both of them are right at 5,000 square feet.
Right. So I look up to you as somebody that owns a business because I kind of want to own a restaurant one day, like a sandwich shop.
Okay, cool.
So what got you started into working into the restaurant business and just on entrepreneurship anyways?
Sure, fair enough. Actually, I got started as a young age. I started washing dishes at a restaurant at the age of 12. Yeah. That was my first job. So I did that. I finished up high school, did a little bit of college, but wasn't really interested in that formal education. And so I started delivering pizzas for Domino's in 1984 in Laurel, Mississippi.
Okay.
Worked there a little bit, moved into their management program, excelled at that, and within 12 months, at the age of just over 21, I was actually managing my own Domino's store down on the coast in Bay St. Louis, actually. Fast forward another 12 months, I was an area supervisor. I was overseeing stores. We were doing between $3 and $4 million a year. I had about 250 people in my department that I got to supervise. And as I moved forward, I've just always been that guy that wanted to step out, and I just didn't accept status quo. When I had bosses that said we're doing it this way and it didn't make sense, but we still had to do it that way anyway, just created a little bit of conflict in me. So I finally stepped out. Opened a Pizza Inn. Actually, my first location was in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Right. And I was there for about a year and a half and then moved to Wiggins as well. Some people think I started out and had money before, whatever. Look, I got started in Pizza Inn 1990 in Hattiesburg, so I was just turning 25 when I started my own business. And I started that on $15,000 that I borrowed from my parents because I didn't have $2 to my name. But they believed in me. They helped me get started. Over the years, we just kept progressing and building that and working a lot. So the thing that got me into entrepreneurship was I'm one that kind of questions authority when it doesn't make sense.
You want to be your own boss.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody can tell you what to do.
Exactly. So I've only had one job where I ever had a boss, and that's when I worked for Domino's for 6 years. Wow. So other than that, you've
been by yourself.
I've been by myself. Yeah.
So you started in 1990 with this business. When was it that you finally learned, okay, maybe I can do this, I can make a little money and grow the business more?
Yeah, fair enough. So what a great question. In the beginning, all I was worried about was paying the bank note, the insurance note, and everything else. It probably took us to get things paid down and so forth a good 15 years of getting by and just living way below means. You know, I've gone times without paychecks to keep the business surviving from there. So with the moving and everything else, it probably took us 15 years to pay off all the notes and everything. Now, we were making money, but I was putting that
into the business.
Right. Yeah. So 15 years ago, I take it back. 18 years ago, I actually became debt-free. I have no home mortgage, no car note, no credit card note, no just month-to-month expenses. And that was because I waited. I didn't buy brand new cars up front, even though I could finance them for 7 years or something. I bought older, and I still do. I buy cars that are older, but it took, and that's what people don't want to do nowadays. That you got to wait. It's like growing corn. You got to plant it, water it, weed it, and then later on you get to harvest it.
So now I'm pretty sure you're living very stable with this business that you got. You don't have nothing anymore. No bills, no notes.
No, exactly. And so, but
all because of your patience. All because you waited.
Patience and hard work. I was willing to do all the work. I cleaned the bathrooms. I mopped the floors, and I still do to this day. It's a form of leadership for me. And then we took that as money started coming in and started looking for other investments. 2014 formed a real estate investment company here in this area, and we started out and were able to pay cash for the first 6 or 7 houses. So they had no debt structure as well. And as those monies came in, we just started buying more houses. Right now we're getting ready to close. It's going to put our assets on that investment company at close to $1 million worth of homes that we own. And so it's still a patient thing, but I've never gone out, and look, nothing against folks, but I've never gone out and bought a brand new car or an expensive European model or anything else. I bought something that worked. And just kept moving from there.
So you're not a person with a Tesla or nothing like that?
No, and look, nothing against those folks, nothing against folks that make millions and millions of dollars. It's just, I taught myself to live below my means, take that extra bit of money and reinvest it, and it just keeps coming back and back.
So in other words, you're smart with your money.
Yes.
Put it that way. Don't want to brag, but you're smart with your money. You know how to where this should go. Okay, we should take 25% of this and put it over here, and this other 75, put it over here somewhere else.
Exactly. And I have to be honest with that, Dylan. It's not because I'm the smartest guru financially. It's because I'm old and experienced. So for every success I've got, I probably got a failure story as well. We've opened restaurants all over the south part of Mississippi. Some of them did great and we sold. Some of them didn't do great. They didn't make the money, and we had to sell them and take a loss. But it's been that experience thing, finding out what's going on.
You say the failure story. No one sees the failure. They only see how they rose to the top. And and I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't see the hard work. They think you got the money from somewhere else, or look how you're living now. And I'm like, let me take you back to the first 20 years of building this restaurant when I missed family outings. My kids were growing up, and I can't go because this person's not there. So there was a lot of sacrifice, personal time before we actually.
And you say that it might be like, because even I will go like, you see somebody owns a big business and they branch out with 6 different cities, and you're like, that guy's rolling in the dough. But in actuality, they're making probably just enough to pay the bills and put stuff back into the business.
And just keep growing it from there. And we had done that some at one time. We'd had as many as 4 locations of different types of restaurants, but it just got to the point it was running me ragged overseeing them. So we just dropped back and one restaurant and did the housing market instead.
So is this the only restaurant you have here? Or
yes.
Do you own?
No, this is the only restaurant I own at this point in time. We have had locations in Poplarville. We had a seafood restaurant here. We owned what used to be Boomerangs. We owned that for a while and then sold it. So, I would try different things, but try to put myself in a position that if it didn't work quite right, if I could just sell and get my money back out of it, then I had more experience.
So, Pizza Inn, that's your name. That's you created that name?
No. So that's a great question. A lot of people didn't realize.
Because that's what I was wondering. I was like, I wonder how he got into the copyright and owning it. But since
I'm just a franchisee. Pizza Inn is a corporate structure out of Dallas, Texas. Been around since the mid-50s. It's a smaller chain, so a lot of people, if they don't, and there's not a lot of stores in Mississippi, so a lot of folks think it's me, but it's
exactly what I thought.
No. I pay royalty fees to a corporate structure every week. But what I do here is I put that mom and pop spin on it. And I own the atmosphere, I guess you could say. And so it's kind of like, you go to a McDonald's or something, and sometimes they're different, and it's just because of the people working in their attitude. So Pizza Inn's the same way.
And it does have the mom and pop vibe, feel to it. Like it's not one of those, you can come in, this is everywhere. Like it's just, I can see it's just being here, and then you go, like 2 counties over, and it's like, hey, there's another one.
And so we get new folks in that they're like, man, we had no idea. This is like a hole, a hole in the wall in the good way type deal. But then we also get a lot of folks that have, back in the early 80s, there were Pizza Inns all over the coast. In Hattiesburg, there were quite a few around. And we get folks in there like, man, I haven't eaten at a Pizza Inn in 30 years. So I just had a couple come in last week that were celebrating their 22nd wedding anniversary, and their first date was at the Pizza Inn in Poplarville.
Wow!
So it's been a fun ride over the years here.
So here there's Pizza Inn, Pizza Hut, Domino's, Little Caesars.
Correct.
Have you seen any fluctuation prices since them? Because Pizza Hut's been here. Domino's and Little Caesars has it. So have you seen any, like, because obviously there's competition.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And look, would I like to see there to be less competition? Absolutely.
Everybody would.
So
you'd like to be the pizza place here.
Right. When they came in, of course, everybody tries anything new forever,
Yep.
and we felt that. We felt that in the sales difference, probably for about the first year, but then we didn't change anything.
Right.
We just do what we do over and over and over, and then people started coming back, and so we're back to normal at this point in time. I will say that Stone County, Wiggins in particular, has the largest concentration of national pizza places, because we have 4, of any incorporated town in the state. We're basically, in number sense, we're oversaturated for what we've got.
And it's kind of weird because like every corner because Wiggins is small.
Right.
Like, we got like what, one red light, something like that. And it's like every corner you turn, there's a pizza place.
There's a pizza place.
There's one right down the corner, one here, over there.
Right.
To the right of us.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of cool to hear that we're the one with the biggest pizza. In the county.
The most saturation for this. It really is. But I think what's helped us is we didn't change anything. We've been the same family owned and operated for the last almost 30 years now here in town, and so people come back to that. We teach our staff, we want to have really good, consistent food, but we want to have great service.
Okay.
Because it's my belief, when we go, you go, anybody goes to a restaurant, if the food's great but the service is not, that's all you remember.
Yeah.
So we want you to have good food. We do special requests, but we want you to remember that service. We were friendly, we were on the spot, taking care of things.
Right. So since you are a franchisee, which means you just own this part, but there's a bigger person that owns the whole company.
Yes.
So I see you have obviously you have like the different types of pizzas. Are you able to come up with a new recipe, or you have to send it to that guy and say he has to accept it, or what?
Well, we used to be able to send it in and get it accepted, and it was an efficient process.
Right.
However, a couple of years ago, the FDA got involved, and everything has to have calorie counts and nutritional information.
Yeah, right.
So now it's a long process. For a new pizza to come out, it has to go through research and development for Pizza Incorporate, and they go, hey, it looks good. But then they have to pay thousands of dollars to have that analyzed to get the FDA information to put it on there. So there's not a whole lot of new introductions anymore.
So obviously you've made the pizzas out of the how long is it? Let's say if you were to go back there now and make a pizza, how long would it take you? Like just a regular pepperoni, how long would it take you?
If I make it, and again, I'm old and experienced, so
that's what I'm saying.
I can make them in less than a minute. We pop them in the oven, they come out 6 minutes later. So it's a good thing. Hey, and here's a really cool thing. I'm glad you mentioned that, and I thought about it. We're one of the last places that actually make our dough fresh every day.
Okay.
We've got a giant mixer. It's like doing homemade bread. We mix the dough, we let it proof, we put it in pans, proof it up. Most places now get a frozen dough in, or a pre-rolled dough they have to let proof up, kind of like what you buy at the grocery store. But we're making dough every day. And when people talk to me about how good the pizza is, we have a great sauce, but I'm telling you, it's the crust. And it's because we make it every day. So it has that homemade type texture and flavor to it.
So for me, I'm a thin crust guy.
Yeah.
For me, thick is too much bread.
Yeah, fair enough.
Personally, for me.
Yeah.
So what are you, a thin, thick?
I'm a thin.
Thin, yeah.
I'm a thin
I like the
person.
crunchiness of the end, like, because there's some people that don't eat crust.
Right.
So like if you would, you just take the bite off it, and it's like, okay, I'm going to eat it, because it's like eating.
Yeah, we love a thin, kind of crackery, crispy crust. That's my favorite to go
So
to.
I'm trying to touch on the time. You open at 11. I figure about another 20 minutes we'd be good.
I'll talk to you as long as you want to, as long as it doesn't get too loud in here for you.
No, you're cool. I don't write notes. You see, I just write notes. I don't write questions.
It's cool. And I'm just rambling. So if I'm rambling too much, you can give me a sign to.
I have people on here all the time. I'll say, so how'd you come up with that song? I don't know, man. I just thinking in bed. How can I go off that? Like, that's how I base my questions. How can I go off that?
Yeah, I understand.
I love people like you that just give me more than what I'm asking.
Well, I love this setup, because I don't feel like we're doing anything special. I feel like we're having a conversation.
Well, that's what I try, because most of the time, this is not like a music-centric podcast.
Okay.
And entertainment-wise. So usually it's over the phone, because I can't go to Nashville every day.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so here it's like, I'm trying my best to make it feel just me and you.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have a laptop here, but tell us what I
none of that bothers. I'm talking to you. I'm not. I ignore everything else.
Microphone's far enough away where you don't feel like you're talking to
Yeah.
So here, you were a 2005's top 10 under 40.
Yes.
What is that exactly?
Sure. There's actually 2 recognitions. One is a statewide recognition, and that is top 40 under 40. So that is a leadership recognition for the whole state that someone has to nominate you for. then you get a letter in saying you've been nominated, send us all of your accomplishments, credentials, so forth and so on. So in 2005, I was named statewide a top 40 business leader under the age of 40, based on accomplishments, which was kind of unique in the whole state.
Sure.
Sun Herald does a top 10 under 40 for South Mississippi.
Which is a newspaper here.
Yes,
right.
Yes, coming off the coast. And I was nominated actually in the same year for that as well by someone, turned in the same credentials, was accepted for that. And so I was named top 10 business leaders in South Mississippi.
So obviously that has to make you nervous. Because it's like, okay, if I screw up, this is going to come back. Those people are going to be like, wow, that was a bad choice to make.
Yeah, you know, and they
Which everybody has screw-ups.
Right, right. And I think they look at not only your business accomplishments, but what you're putting back into the community. And that's part of being a business leader. That's a responsibility. You know, I love out of Spider-Man, the one saying that's always said with me, with great power
comes great responsibility.
Exactly, exactly. And so for me, if you're a business leader, you have a responsibility. If you don't want to fulfill that, don't be a leader.
Sure.
And so we've always tried to give back. Look, we've given back since we opened here January of 1992. We do a lot of programs. We do cash support, we do gifts in kind support, we do the honor roll card, which we've done here forever. And let me can I tell you the history behind that real quick?
Sure.
Cool. So when we came to town, the gold card system was in place, which is awesome. All A's, you get all of these special rewards. You know what was in place for someone who made 5 A's and 1 B?
What was that?
Nothing. So the student that missed it by 1 point got nothing. And you know what? We believed that A's and B's are above average. Okay? And they ought to be rewarded. So we came up with a program, and we did some research on it. We drilled it down so that anyone in school from the age of kindergarten through the age of 6th grade, basically elementary school, if they make 5 B's and 1 A, their honor roll, we give them a card for that 9 weeks. It's good for 3 free buffets. Okay? So they can come in and use that. We don't require a parent's purchase. Sometimes we have families that may not be in a financial point to do all that. So if they just come in and sit with their child, we feed the child free. It's all about celebrating the child's accomplishments. We give them high fives. We do things like that. Anyway, we add all.
What is a high five? Is it just like an actual high five? Okay. I didn't know if it was a program.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No. Look, and here's why people go, why don't you do it? We do the gold card for everything, for everybody as well. But this program we developed is geared towards those ages, because it's my personal philosophy is that's when you begin to learn study habits and are motivated by grades. When you get to high school, you're going to make what you're going to make because you're either motivated or not. But we have so many success stories from teachers where a child made 5 B's and a C and they didn't get a card, and they worked hard to pull it up. And we want to celebrate that so that they get used to being rewarded at an early age for grades, and then it just becomes natural later in their age as well.
So another thing I like that you guys do is if it's your birthday, you can bring your license or your ID and you get a free buffet as well. How did that start? Was it just something like, well, how did that come about? I don't even know what to ask.
No. So different places, you know, we just kind of pulled off of other programs that did things for free on their buffet. I mean, on their birthday. And we wanted to do something for adults. We do a lot of kid-driven stuff. So it's bringing an ID that's got your birth date on it, typically 16 or older, and you get a free buffet with that. No questions asked. It was our way to give back to customers. It's also a marketing strategy as well, because we use that same thing on social media. We remind people every day that's part of our acquaintance system, hey, you get a free buffet. So that's always going out. Typically, when someone comes in to eat their buffet for free on their birthday, they are not alone. They'll bring 2 or 3 friends. And so when friends go, where do you want to go eat for your birthday today? What? And you're like, oh, I want to go to Pizzaman because it's free.
You don't have to spend no cash. You get full.
And so our goal is to spread that, give back a little bit, but then also hope to bring 2 or 3 other people in.
But what I love about it also, let's say if you go over to like a Mexican restaurant or something, you say, oh, it's my birthday. They're going to come and they're going to clap and they're going to embarrass you. You guys, you just say, oh, they had a birthday, go get your buffet. And that's it. For an anxiety-driven guy like me, it's like,
Yeah, so we don't make a big deal out of it. That way there's no awkwardness on the person that's its birthday or the crew that's busy doing something. We kind of sidestep that and go from there. Hey, I do want to back up though, because I was telling you about the honor roll card and giving back to the community. So this is something most people don't know, is that we've totaled up all of that support, whether it be donations or honor roll cards, this, that, and the other, and we have put back into the community over $1.5 million in the time here. And so, you know, people are like, well, this or that. You don't see us on radio. You don't see me driving a $100,000 car. We just, same philosophy on the finances, we reinvest it. Your money when you eat here is going to go back into the school somewhere or a sport somewhere or something.
So
like that.
Where has been one place where you're like, we have to give it back to this one place?
Yeah, so some of our big things that we support, of course, the honor roll card, that value of those are in there as well.
Okay, so you spend money on that for the...
Well, yeah, we put a value on those free buffets that we give out because it's not money. So it's like we're donating that money back to the school. We've always been a strong supporter of school sports. The Stone High Band is a guaranteed benefactor, every year, top of the list. What can we do to help you? And go from there. Just yesterday, we donated to, I've got a sheet up front, we'll have to see what it is, but it's backpack supplies. It's going back to school supplies on an event that's being held out at the Jerry Fairley Soccer Complex. And so typically when an organization comes in, we can't do everything for everybody, but we try to make at least a drop in the bucket for them, you know, and go out. And we pretty much sponsor anything. Our favorite charity would be Dean Ash, the Food Pantry, and the Stone County Society for the Prevention of Cruelty Against Animals, Katie Stonington. And so she just knows if she needs something, I mean, she just lets us know. We have a heart for animals. And so it's every time a tournament or something's come up, we sponsor that. If you just need something, let us know and we go from there.
So getting away from the business for now, you are running for Chancery Clerk.
Correct.
Which I did a little bit of investigation. I was like, what in the flip is this? I have to know at least a little bit, which was basically you take stand in like land lawsuits and stuff like that, so expand on that a little bit. Sure,
absolutely. Let me give you just a little background history leading into that, because people are like, I live in the county now, but I lived in the city back during the era of Katrina in those years, and I actually was on the city council here in Wiggins as an alderman.
You were?
I
remember that.
Yeah, we went into office on June the 1st, 2005. Because Katrina was 05. So you had brand new board members and Katrina 2 months later. So I worked through a lot of that devastation, disaster, and then you had all these monies coming in that you had to figure out. And I'm a numbers guy, and that's leading me up to this Chancery Clerk thing. Projects I participated on was divesting those millions of dollars into other projects. I led a team when they had an audit done and wanted to raise water prices for everybody in sewer. I led a team that researched that, and we were actually able to come up with a plan that was almost 30% of what they wanted to raise them. So we saved about 70%. I led a team that did research on the water towers, a new water tower coming in. So I'm a real research-driven guy. Again, go back. I don't accept it just because you said so. Let me crunch numbers and see if I come up on the same place. And then I moved out in the county. So Chancery Clerk, Gerald Bond's retiring, so the thing's wide open right now. There's not an incumbent. And what concerns me most is, I would say a majority of the people don't know what a Chancery Clerk is or what they do. And I mean, that's a fair statement. Not because they're ignorant, they just have no idea what they do. So in Stone County, you have two clerks, which is kind of unique to Mississippi and a few other states. You have a circuit clerk, which handles criminal and everything from there. Chancery handles the civil side. Chancery would handle your land deeds, land recordings, sales.
Like civil court, for example.
Exactly. Anything about discrepancies there. They also handle collecting child support and things of that nature. They can be guardians of a child who has received money through an estate. They handle a ton of money and a ton of records. And so it's got to be very exact going into this right account, where it's going, things of that nature. And so for that to me is a perfect fit for a businessman and somebody that does what I do. Stone County needs a business person running the business division.
Which
and
you are.
That's what I am, and that's what the Chancery Clerk is. It's a business division. So because here's another cool thing. I'm just rambling.
No, you're good. No, I love it.
Here's a really cool thing. Basically, nobody knows about Chancery Clerk. At the end of the year, when all the salaries are paid, when all the expenses are paid, any money that's left over in that operating account gets rolled over to the county for them to use in their next budget year. So if your Chancery Clerk is really savvy and they're financially smart and they're efficient and so forth, they can add to that balance, because if they are able to not get rid of people but to cut expenses, to the more money that business side of the county makes, the more money goes into the general fund the next year.
Which Lord knows we need a county fund more, because there are some places that have caused wrecks and we could use more red lights or stop signs.
Right.
So let's say you get the Chancery Clerk, you get, what is it called, redeemed as it? I don't know what the correct word is.
Well, elected.
Elected.
Yeah,
okay, there
elected.
You go.
Yeah.
You get elected Chancery Clerk.
Sure.
Will this affect this business, this pizza place, in any outcome? Because I know your wife is co-owner with you, and she runs it just as much as you do. Right.
So yes, it's going to affect, yes and no. Right. And when I say that, it's going to be that, and this is a word I'm trying to get to people, because some are concerned about me doing both.
Right.
I'm not going to do both. If I'm elected as Chancery Clerk,
you're going to step down and take that.
Yes, I will retire from my day-to-day president operation where I'm here. My wife Tabitha will take that over. We've already geared that up by bringing in some other staff, training them, being ready. In a crisis situation, I'm still around to make decisions, but it's not going to be a thing of, oh my gosh, I got to run over here to Pizza Inn, or oh my gosh, that'll be my full time.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. How would you manage both if you were going to do both?
No, I'll just step back. We're a corporation, so my shares will still be owned, but you've had great national business leaders that have done the same thing recently, where they stepped away from their business to take a position in government and let it keep going.
So, I'm going to take a step back from that. You are big on skydiving and planes. Where did that fascination? Because you do, what is it? Wings over Wiggins?
Wings over Wiggins. Yep, is an air show, a fundraiser, and so we jump here for them every year. And I blame that skydiving on my wife, actually. When I turned 40, Tim McGraw was big with a song that says "Live Like You're Dying,"
like you're dying.
And he went skydiving.
Rocky Mountain climbing.
Yeah, you remember all that? Yeah. And so that song was big, and I said one day, I'd like to do that. And so for my 40th birthday, she bought me a certificate to go skydive, which I did. It was fun, over with. Several years down the road, other people were going, so I did it 2 or 3 times, what they call a tandem, where someone's hooked to you.
Right.
And then I just decided, it's kind of like riding in a fancy sports car on the passenger side. It gets boring after a while, and I'm ready to either learn how to do it or quit riding.
Yeah.
So I learned how to do it. And I took all the classes, got into that, loved it. I've competed locally, statewide, nationally for several years. I own 8 state records and a world record.
How do you do records?
Yeah, see?
Like, now we're going down this rabbit hole, which I love doing it. Like, how fast you jump, pull the parachute, or what is?
Yeah, fair enough. Great question, because everybody's wondering, like, it's
how do
just
you
one
win
guy.
records?
What do you do a record?
Right.
So these records are actually larger formations with multiple skydivers in it. And so for these events, then you bring whatever the previous record was. You bring larger groups together, and you have to jump and put that formation together in the air. And then it gets more complicated. You can earn a different record if you put them together and then change positions. So it's a whole new formation. And so I've jumped in, my state records are as small as, I think, 30 in one state, as large as 50 in another state. I've done 100, what we call 100 plus ways, which is more than 100 skydivers at one time. And 2 years ago in Chicago, we set a world record for jumping 111 people out of 5 planes at one time, coming together and changing the formation 3 times. So it's been a fun ride.
Do you own any kind of planes or anything like that?
Oh, I don't own. Own any planes. I've just always devoted myself back to this sport in particular. I own my own equipment. I know how to do all my own safety checks and everything.
So you're not like a pilot per se. You're just a skydiver.
I'm just Yep.
You weren't
I'm just
freaked
a
out the first
simple.
time you did it?
Oh my gosh, yes. So look, it's more about. So people are like, I'm scared of heights. Well,
Yeah,
if
me
we were
too.
on the roof, I'd be scared to death. I wouldn't go near the edge of this roof for fear of falling off.
Yeah.
When you're 2.5 miles up, 14,000 feet, it's kind of different. But I got to tell you, my first probably 100 jumps, I was like, what am I doing here again? But I was hooked on it. So it's almost more of an anxiousness than just a fear of, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. But once you get out of the plane, it's an experience that you can't relate to anybody that's never done it before. So
your anxiousness is, okay, I can't wait. My anxiousness would be, okay, I got to jump down to get to the ground. Like mine wouldn't be, oh my God, I can't believe. No, I'm getting to that ground. I'm kissing the grass.
Letting go of the plane, stepping across that line, even though somebody's strapped to you, to me was the biggest leap of faith. But then you're out in the air doing 120 miles an hour. You can't tell that because you're not passing things. You just feel this great rush of wind. Then the parachute opens and they gently float you back down to the ground.
So generally, how long does it take from the time you jump from the plane to the ground? How long is that? Like 15, 20 minutes, an hour?
No. You're probably looking at in that 10 to 12 minute range.
Still pretty good long time.
Yeah. So for somebody doing it for their first time as a tandem, you're going to get about 60 seconds of free fall, which is short but seems like forever. And then you have anywhere from a 5 to 7 minute ride down under the canopy, and you land really soft and everything.
So are you one of the? You said you were qualified and all that. So does that mean like you can? Per se, I would jump out. You could hook to me and be the front guy at the top. Is that what that means?
I can't do that. Okay, and I want to tell you why.
So you're the guy at the bottom. Right?
Well, I'm the guy jumping on my own at this point.
Oh.
Just when you first begin, you've got to have that instructor attached to you, and I could do that. It takes certain ratings to do different things. I'm a coach. In skydiving, I have that rating. I have a professional rating as well. That's what allows me to jump into football games and out here and other things. I've proven that. For the tandem rating, I've just never done it because that's a working position. And skydiving is my release. It's my hobby. I don't want to go there and work. So those guys will start you out. If you start learning on your own, then I can pick you up and start teaching you better ways to skydive.
Right. So in other words, it's your stress relief. Like you're like, have you ever been so stressed you're just like, I'm going to jump out of a plane?
Yes.
You have?
Yes. I've been so stressed that my wife has told me, you need to go skydiving soon.
I've got you. So, it's that big of a hobby. Like it
is. I love it, and it's just when you're in that cool, clean air and you're just doing your thing, it's fantastic. It just is. I don't. People go, well, it's a death wish, and I'm like, no, it's not. I mean, we're super safe about everything. I don't ride motorcycles; they scare me to death. Well, other people that drive around motorcycles scare me to death. I don't do diving. I tried that once. I didn't like it. So everybody's got their quote extreme sport or something they do, and skydiving is just another one of those. It's safer than driving a car, as far as fatalities. Yeah.
My fear would be you'd go up into the propeller, and you'd hit the wing and then you'd kill you. Like that's just one of the fears.
Well, the good news is you're not going to get out in front of the propeller. You're behind it, so you don't have to worry about the propeller. So
you wouldn't go that way?
No. Okay. Yes, the plane's flying forward, the propeller's pushing it. There's nothing on the back side. Okay. So you're leaving from the back of the plane as it's going out from there.
So there's no. Okay, I got you now. No. So how many times do you know roundabout how many times you jumped out? Because you said you did your first 100. I was like, good God, 100.
Yeah, so I did 100 my first year. I did 400 my second year and my third year, but we were training for national competition, so we were practicing.
So if you're doing 400 one year, does that mean you're doing it every day or twice a day?
You're doing it twice a month for a full weekend, and you're getting in 20 to 30 jumps in a weekend. So I mean, it's work, it's practice is what that is, not fun jumps. Once I quit competing nationally, I dialed it back. I think I'm closing in on about 1,700 jumps right now, which sounds like a great number, but I pale in comparison to those that have 6, 7, 10,000 jumps. I've been doing it. November will be 10 years, so I'm a newbie to the sport.
Really? 10 years is still a newbie?
Yeah, just because of the experience and everything else. And I'm always a student. I'm always learning. And
we're a student till we die.
Right. If you ever think you know it all, you don't.
Exactly.
So you just go from there.
So going back to the business side real quick, was there ever a point from 90 to now where you're just like, we're going to have to pull the plug on this, we're going to have to end it because we're just not making it? Or was there ever I mean, there's always a fear.
Yes.
But was there ever...
So I'm going to tell you, if financially I had been able to pull the plug in those early years, probably would have.
Okay.
But because of debt and obligations, couldn't do it.
You just weren't brave enough.
Right. I mean, there were some days I got up because I was excited about going to work. There were some days I got up because I didn't have a choice. The bank note was coming up next week, and I had to work. So that I've just always had, although failure's part of it, I've always had this, I hate to use the word fear, but concern of failure.
Okay.
And so if it's a challenge or people feel like I can't do it or something's up, it just makes me push an extra 20% to go forward from there. So yeah, there are times I stayed in business because I owed banks and light companies and things of that. You can't just, if you get unhappy with your job, you can just quit. If you own the business and you own a lot of money, you just don't get to quit.
So getting up now and going to work, what do you, let's say you got up this morning.
Yeah.
Let's just say you didn't have this interview here.
Okay.
You just getting up, coming normal.
Yeah.
Were you stressed? Were you excited? Were you happy? Like, what are you normally when you come in on a regular day?
I'm excited.
You're excited.
I am. I
stress
get up.
The stress is always
There's
there.
always stress
but it's
here.
Always lower.
But right. If I'm stressed now, it's usually not about this restaurant. It's about other deals, working on buying houses or doing something here. My stress now is self-inflicted because I get too many irons in the fire. I used to be the guy to do everything. If you had a special project in town or you needed somebody on this committee or a judge there, plus this and that. And the hardest thing for me to learn was to say no. Not in a mean way, but just to go, my plate's full. I appreciate the opportunity, but I just can't add another thing to my plate.
So what was the hardest thing for you personally about owning this business? What was the hardest thing you had to jump over the hurdle of, per se?
Well, the finances were a huge thing.
Okay.
And so let me tell you, owning this business, now I go back and I say I worked at Domino's for 5 or 6 years.
Sure.
That set me up to understand this type of business. Although they were delivery, I understood the operation of a pizza business.
Right.
Okay. So I didn't have to come in and learn everything on my own. Being a franchise, I already had recipes in place. So I didn't have to come up with recipes. There was a lot of support in being a franchise. But I tell folks all the time now, they're like, hey, I'm going to open this restaurant, or hey, I'm going to open this clothing store, or hey, I'm like, do you have experience in that? The greatest advice I've ever read in a book said, if you're going to start your own business, spend a year learning about that area, that type of business. So if you want to open a sandwich shop one day, I highly recommend. That doesn't mean you got to go to work at Subway, but go in or find a mentor that's willing to sit down and go, yeah, you want to know about this? Come in a couple of days a week and let's go through it. But just walking out there and opening it on your own because you got a great idea for a sandwich, that's scary.
Yeah.
Right.
Got you.
Right. Because friends and family go, man, you make a great sandwich. That may be true there, but there's so much more. When people come in here and they're like, hey, I didn't see you on that day, or hey, I didn't see you on that day, I tell them I'm like the glue in the cardboard box. You don't get to see it, but it holds everything together. Yeah. So there's a lot of office stuff, and I handle all of that for the store, but the payroll, the advertising, all of that type of things as well.
So you mentioned, have you seen people come in and say, I'm going to start this restaurant or this business, and they do it, and you see them fail? Because 9 times out of 10, they don't have the capabilities or the experience. There's only going to be probably one person in a million that's going to be successful.
The two biggest failures, or two biggest reasons for restaurant failures when people open up, is one, lack of experience, because the customer base isn't real forgiving. They are in the beginning, but 6 months down the road, if your food's still not good or your service isn't good, they're not coming back. Okay, the number one reason for restaurant failures nowadays is lack of capital funding. They don't have deep enough pockets to go in. People come in and they're like, okay, well, it's $9 for a buffet and there's 100 people. Man, he's got $1,000 worth of customers in here and it turns over. That's just cash flow. That's not profit.
Percentage goes here, this percentage goes there.
Right. Yeah. It's just a big pipeline and a little bit sticks on the side. And so when you open up a restaurant, my rule of thumb is you've got to be able to work for 6 months and not take a penny. Not take a salary penny, not take a profit penny, okay? After 6 months, you still got bills to pay, but in that first 6 months, you need to get your startup costs paid down, everything that you've put out front
Right.
kind of paid down from there, and then you start drawing a little bit of salary here and there.
Right.
It is not a get-rich-quick scheme.
Yeah.
It's a long haul scheme. But
Yeah.
if you like being your own boss, if you like the atmosphere of a restaurant, and you gotta like people. You gotta, I mean, I just firmly believe it's gotta be this one-on-one type relationship you build with people,
Yeah.
and they keep coming back. You know, over the years, we've had customers that were coming in when we first opened, and maybe they were a little bit older, 30 or 40, okay? But then they had kids,
Right.
and those kids grew up with Pizza Inn, and now those kids
Exactly.
are old enough.
Yeah.
I've got grandkids coming in.
Yeah.
And so it's just this generational thing of, hey, we're going to see, it's Mr. Bill. I get
Right.
kids in, I take them back in the kitchen and everything. I just treat them like family.
Right.
You know, and that's what we do.
So last couple of questions
Yeah.
here. Going on about close to 45 minutes. We've been going pretty
Yeah,
long, which
I
doesn't
could-
even seem like it.
Look, I'll talk all day. You just have to tell me to hush. So,
Before I get to the main nitty gritty here, you
Yeah.
mentioned Spider-Man. You're a superhero fan like I am, or you just mentioned that one quote?
I mentioned that quote. I've watched a few of the
Okay.
Spider-Mans,
Okay.
but no, I'm not a big. Nothing wrong with superheroes.
No,
I like the
no.
movies, but I'm
Yeah.
not into all the detail.
Yeah.
I watch movies, and you know what's strange about me is I watch movies and I hear quotes like that. Remember the Titans was another one. I hear this thing and I'm like, man, that's a business philosophy right there. That's a
Right.
leadership philosophy. You know, and so those things stick out
So
in
for
my
you,
mind.
we're different in that way. Like you have the music, the movie quotes in your head. Mine's the music lyrics. Like, because I'm just a big music nerd,
Yeah.
man. I've listened to all the 40s and the 50s and all the good stuff, and I know mostly everything about most artists.
Yeah.
It's just I research it.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
Wouldn't be a music-centric podcast if I didn't ask this question. What music are you listening to and grew up on, and
Yeah,
what do you still love?
so I grew up into my high school years on my mom and dad's music, which was country and
Yeah.
Beach Boys and probably some Eagles.
Right.
Still all great fallback. I
Yep.
mean, I love listening to
Yep,
them.
me too.
Got into upper high school and some college, started listening to some rock and stuff. Fleetwood Mac, I'm trying to think of some others. Led Zeppelin,
Sure.
Van Halen was my number one
Right.
group
Yeah.
in my senior year of high school. You know, it was just my go-to from right there. But I like it all. Nowadays, I listen to, if I'm going to pick just a station to listen to, it's probably going to be 80s type rock
Right.
to listen to. But I listen to everything from, I love some good jazz. I love some good blues. I love Jimmy Buffett, island type music. So,
Really?
yeah, I
Really?
just, you know, now the country fans are going to hate me, but country's not my go-to music, especially in what I call
Right.
nowadays country. I'll
Right.
listen to some old outlaw country.
You listen to the 80s and the 90s.
Yes.
Some early 2000s.
Yes,
Right.
somewhere in there. And side note on that, did
Sure.
you know that we have a band that plays here every Thursday night? Yeah. Yeah, so
So you just started?
No, can I take a rabbit
with
hole
me,
real
go
quick?
ahead.
Cool. So
I'm here all
let's
day.
see, November will be 11 years that we've been in this location
Right.
after we moved.
Wow, that long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I can remember when you were there.
Right.
And now you're here, and it's like.
Now it's 11
been that
years
long.
later. Yeah, so this band, I had 13 years ago a group of senior citizens, you know,
Right,
mature
right.
folks, whatever the politically, you probably got to
Yeah.
edit that out. But anyway.
No, I don't edit nothing out. Whatever you say is on here.
Are you serious?
I don't care. You cuss,
Yeah,
it's going to stay on
yeah,
here.
no, fair enough. I'm just
It's
kidding.
mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can do what I want.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I just always pick with them about that. But
Yeah.
they came to me 13 years ago and wanted to meet on a Thursday night to have
Sure.
like a little dinner. And it was probably about 8 or 10 of them. And I'm like, yeah, y'all come on every Thursday. Well, about the third Thursday in, they said, hey, can we bring a guitar player over? I'm like, I'm open for new things. Bring him on. This guy's name, we call him Mr. Tim. He's
Okay.
played pretty much every Thursday since 13 years ago. But he started out just coming in playing, started picking up. He kind of is the person who selects other band members.
Okay.
We call them the in-house band
Okay.
because we don't audition other bands. They're the in-house band. INN,
Mhm.
house, pizza in-house.
Got you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Play on words there.
Yeah, yeah. And so they started playing 13 years ago. They moved over here with us.
Right.
It's basically string type guitar, maybe a fiddle, violin, a
Right.
banjo,
Mandolin, something like
a
that.
mandolin.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. But every Thursday night they
Uh-huh.
play from 6 to 8 here. We actually, I know your listeners
No, it's okay.
can't see it,
Where's it at?
but you actually see this long table right there?
Yeah.
We move that away and that becomes their bandstand. It's great
Oh,
acoustically because
gotcha.
it comes off of that
Right.
Comes this way, kind of wraps around and shoots back over again.
Okay.
So they're through. I have no idea about acoustics, but the band members were like, "This is great. We love it because it just kind of builds as it comes around."
So do they bring like the amplifiers? And
No,
stuff like that?
no.
It's just
it's
them
all
playing
acoustic.
It.
Yep, they play it, and they play older stuff. Older country, they play some gospel. Probably the newest song, and I can't think of what it is, would probably be 2000. You know, they pick up one or two here, but nothing new. If it's 20 years or younger, they're probably not going to pay. But it's a great family thing. There's no charge. They come in. To them, it's a jam session. I feed them free. I work out some compensation throughout the year for them. But they're like, man, we get gigs where we have to go perform. We just want to come relax. So every Thursday night from 6 to 8 they play. If you have a birthday, they are going to sing happy birthday to you if they find out. Yeah. But no, we just have a good time. We have kids come in and go up there and dance around them and so forth.
So that is kind of a cool place to have because the if you're just playing without amps and nothing like that, you got the echo of the kitchen.
Yeah.
And it's coming around because how you have these beams, it's like they can just bounce off.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. So
I know it's a hard thing to focus on, but it's like.
Yeah, you would understand all that. I don't. I'm just like, we're going to feed y'all and make you happy.
Right.
So I got to tell you this real quick. Like I said, as long as you got all day, and I'm going to ramble for a while. These beams, because you brought them up. You'll see they run all the way down through the store, and then they run through the game room as well.
Right,
That's because when we started our lease here, we were told that it was about 4,800 square feet, which is what we needed. Once we drew the plans and got to looking at it, I'm like, something's bad wrong here. It was 3,800 square feet, which would not work. So we went to the owner of the complex back then. It was a local guy, that's why I love local people out of Purvis. And he said, what's wrong? We told him. He said, well, what's the plan? The original walls of this building were here, all the way down through there. That's in line with Tower Loan Video Center. That's in line with Piggly Wiggly and the old Radio Shack. He said, we'll fix it. We'll just knock down all the exterior walls and bump it out 8 feet. So they literally grew this building out for me to where we could get what we need. So we ended up with these beautiful columns that actually have a reason, and most people don't know that.
So what? Didn't like an ER or something?
Yeah, there was.
Used to be
there was
here?
a medical clinic here. Yeah, the Hattiesburg Clinic, which is just down the block, was here at one time.
Used to be here.
Right. And so we just took it and they blew all the walls out. And we stripped it down to the concrete and the studs, and built back out from there.
So. Yes, we do have a video store here. Yes, we are. We're not Blockbuster, but and it's weird because I'm kind of the old school. Like,
are there any Blockbusters left? I thought no, in Video Gallery.
Because we used to have no. That's what I was
Movie Gallery.
Movie Gallery.
That's what it was.
We used to have that, and then now they're like disappeared.
Yeah.
But I watch Netflix stuff like that. But I'm not like I'm gonna rent it for $2.99 on iTunes.
Right.
I will come here.
Yeah.
Even though you're gonna pay the same amount.
Right.
But it's just the fact of me putting in a disc in the Blu-ray player.
Right.
And
you can back it up. You can do whatever you want.
Because it's like a book.
Yes.
Like I don't like book on my tablet. I prefer in my hands grasp.
I'm right there with you.
But I have a library at my house, and it's like I don't know what it is. It's just I love the fact
physical,
that I can hurt it,
right?
Feel it in it.
Yeah.
So
fair enough.
When you were building this, was over there.
Uh-huh.
You had to be doing 2 jobs at once, right?
Yeah, overseeing this and running that
at
the same time. Yeah, it really was. You know, I've never built a house, but I know after building this, I'm never going to build a house.
You can buy one,
yes. You know, because it just drove me insane.
Right.
And just little things here and there, checking on this or having problems, and so yeah, I'm the guy that wants to get in and run the business part. I'm not the guy that wants to design it and make sure it's happening.
So, what's your favorite part of running a business? Is it just that you can calculate this and get it 100% correct, or what?
No, you know what my favorite part of this is? Over the years, it was all the money and this, that, and the other, trying to make finances in. I just love greeting people.
Yeah.
I'm like the Mickey Mouse in Wiggins. You know, I just, and look, I train my folks that way. We're here to give you really good food, great service, but we're here to make you feel better. And so we're always supposed to be smiling. I tell them Mickey Mouse never frowns. You've never seen Mickey Mouse frown, right? And I mean, we're in character. It's not just a job and I got to do this. No, but I love making people happy. You never know how their day is when they came in. You know, in this rushed world that we have in, and people are rude because they're stressed. I want them to come in, have had a horrible day, relax, chill, leave and go out and just go, man, I feel better. So That's where I am in the business now. I love that
Right.
customer service, just
Right.
trying to make them, and listening to their problems, you
Yeah.
know, just not fussing back at them. And that's going to carry over into the Chancery Clerk.
Sure.
Because I've got a team there, okay? And let me just say this so it's public and no,
Follow me, go ahead.
there's discussion about different people wanting to change out staff over there and so forth.
Okay.
I'm not interested in that. I've
Okay.
run companies. I've gone in and bought companies. I'm not changing out a team that works and is getting things done. I'm going to come in and evaluate. Doesn't mean we won't make some changes of
Right.
responsibilities
Right.
or this, that, and the other, but I'm not going to come in and go, y'all are with the old guy, you're fired, I'm bringing my guys in.
Right.
No, just not going to happen.
You see that all the time.
Yeah, you see it all
that
the time. In my most successful businesses that I've bought and run and so forth, where I was the CEO just making calls, I kept that team in place. For something we needed different, we try to retrain and go
Right.
from there. But I want to bring that same level of customer service over to that office. And
Right.
that is, if you come in and you have an issue,
Yep.
it doesn't matter what kind of day or what I got to do, I want to stop and make you feel better about your situation. And that's something you're going to see me take to that office as well.
So I'm not the one to for really political. Like
Yeah.
I don't vote for president. Just
Yeah.
because. So I don't have a say so. So I
Okay.
can't complain. Oh, Trump's doing this. I don't care.
Right.
But I figured I'd get you on because I can get the business side and the restaurant side of this.
Sure.
Also with the. So were you always in like entertained by politics? Were you?
No.
No. Okay.
Not really, and just for the record, you know, I've always I've always voted and all of that and everything, but
Right.
I've never been big into politics. Having a title or being a politician doesn't interest me. What interests me is going in and working for the people.
Right.
How can I make this better? How can
Sure.
I be assured that your tax money and the things you're paying for are being used properly?
Sure.
And just doing that auditing. I love, part of my Domino's stint towards the end was auditing stores and looking
Sure.
through things and trying to come up with better ways to save money. So having a title, being a politician, that means nothing to me. You know.
Kind of a tough question, but what would you do? Because I don't know what's wrong, but what would you make better?
So I can't say that anything's wrong there.
Right.
What I would like to see.
Well, you have more insight than I do. So
Yeah,
it's like,
fair enough. And I'm not going to fault somebody that's been there for 32
Right,
years
right.
and so forth.
'Cause it's been working perfect.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But here's what I would like to see is this office move forward with more online accessibility
Sure.
to tax records and payments and things of that nature. I've got two circuit clerks from neighboring counties. I'm sorry, Chancery clerks.
Okay.
That have agreed to be my mentor. I've known forever, their family.
Right.
And so I can go to a larger city and go, what's your operation here? How do I bring it back? Technology.
Right.
Bring technology in so it's easier on the office, easier on the user. That's what I want to do, and I want to maximize the amount of money we're able to give back to the county every year.
So, with my thing with this podcast is, I don't want to have, like, they're like, you got to go to college to have a backup plan if it fails. That's my point. I don't want to have a backup plan because I know it won't fail. Were you ever like that?
Yeah. You know, I graduated high school. I went to Millsaps in Jackson.
Okay.
And for about a year, and I was just like, man, this college thing ain't doing it for me.
That's how I am.
It's just not. I'm ready to get out there and go. And so I left college.
Yeah.
And just started my own thing. So I didn't have a backup plan. I didn't have a degree to fall back on,
Right.
or something from there. Years down the road, that I thought about getting an associate's degree
Okay.
and working on that. And I actually, while working full time, 70 hours a week, and skydiving, I was taking 18 hours of classes at MGCCC.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Online or going to the school?
online.
Okay.
And that almost killed me.
Right.
You know, I didn't realize how much time was devoted to a
Right,
full
right,
college schedule. But I worked through that, so I attended college there, and I got some subjects I wanted, needed, plus my other stuff. I was chasing that dream of that associate's degree for some reason. I
Sure.
don't know what it was, and it just finally, I was like, I don't need that per
Yeah.
se. I'd rather be an inspiration to people and go, well, how much college do you have? Do you have an MBA? Do you have that? And I go, I got a high school diploma
Yeah.
and 2 years of college. That's what I got, and I've worked my butt off from here. So I just want to prove that anybody can do it. You got to have a heart for it. You got to want to do it. If you're doing it for the money to start a restaurant or a business in the beginning, you're doing it for the wrong reason.
Right.
It better be something you love to do. Get
Right.
settled. Down the road, you'll get some money to go along.
So is this for you a family business? Like your wife will take it over, then you got a daughter.
I have a daughter,
and then
yep.
her kids, and
Um,
is that how it was? Even though you're not the sole owner, but you are for this part.
Right, right. This will probably not pass directly down the line because Caitlin, my daughter, has her own dreams in the medical field.
Okay.
So she's going to pursue that. But we do have other family members that we're training here as well. So it may stay under the family tree.
Just not underneath you directly. Like maybe to the side a little bit.
Right,
like,
to
like
the
your
side.
cousin or your nephew, something like that.
Right, exactly.
So, last big question here.
Yeah, man.
For me, look up to you as a business guy because you're a business dude.
Okay.
You've grown it from nothing to this.
Okay.
What would be some advice you would give me and to some of my listeners if they were to, because this is my business.
Okay.
I make nothing. I'm, out looking for sponsors and then trying to make a little bit of cash flow with it.
Sure.
What would be your advice for the small business owners like myself and some that's listening?
Yeah. Find a mentor.
Right.
Find somebody that knows what's going on in this business that can, people call me about wanting to help set up restaurants. I go, I'm not a consultant, but I'll be your mentor. If you've got ideas, I'll bounce them. I'll also find avenues that you can resource better information from.
Sure.
So, you got to have a passion for it. If you didn't love doing this, you wouldn't do it for nothing.
That's what I'm saying,
You got to be willing to do it for nothing to grow it into a business.
Exactly.
And then just look, I tell folks all the time, I ain't the smartest guy, I've already told you that. I ain't the smartest guy in the world. I'm a really good imitator, so I'll take other ideas and tweak them. I'm not here to reinvent the wheel, I'm just here changing the tire.
Right.
And going from there. So, just... I don't know if that's enough words for my advice because I could ramble, but I want to keep it short.
Because you went, you said 10 years before you actually saw a rise in actually cash flow?
Yeah.
I've been doing this almost 3 years, and it's like 130-something episodes, and it's just like nothing. But then it's like, but that's okay, because you see people that's working they're 40 years old now, and they're just not getting into the Hollywood or something like that, and they're just not making it big, and it's like, it's going to be good on the long run, but then it also adds some depression and stress to it, because you're like, am I doing this for nothing?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Right. So let me give you this illustration.
Go ahead.
All right, you're on a cruise ship, right?
Sure.
And you're going by and you see this island and the tour guide tells you, that's such and such island and it's 4 miles away from us, okay? And you happen to be looking over the rail and you fall off. You know there's an island there. You start swimming towards that island.
Right.
When do you stop?
When you get to the island.
Right.
Because you don't want to, you're not
going
to stop
so
swimming
3 miles of hard swimming in choppy water, you're like, I'm tired. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
You got no choice.
Right.
You keep swimming till you get to the island. And I say that same thing with your business here that you brought into us today. Keep swimming.
Right.
If you're willing to do it for nothing and grow it, you have a great chance of being successful.
Right.
So I'm proud of you, man. I really am. I'm excited to no end to see young entrepreneurs come in, be passionate, and grow and go from there.
Well, see, when I first asked you, I was like, he's not going to do it. Not just because I know you're a good, nice guy, but I was like, he's just too busy. Like, he's running for chancery clerk. He's also running probably a multi-million-dollar business. Don't know, but you're still,
it is, just without going into details.
Yeah. We don't want to get too far in. I'm not nosy. No.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. But you know what? I would say that's the type of guy, somebody you go, man, that's a business leader, but he's probably too busy. That's who you need to go talk to.
Okay.
You need to call them and ask them.
Okay.
Because I'm telling you, the truly great business leaders will always give time back to young entrepreneurs because somebody gave it to them. Yeah. Okay, they're paying it back.
And I see that all the time. Like for example, like somebody that's on a TV show. Let's say a TV show goes 12 years. You play this one character, Jep. You play Jed or something like that.
Okay.
That one person after 11 years is getting tired of playing that character, and I look at it as why. You took the role of playing the show knowing it could go that long, but then you say, I'm tired of playing it. You can't, that's not a business move.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, exactly. I agree with you.
So it's like you're either in it for the long haul or you're just in it for a little bit of payday and then you're done.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you got to stay in it for the long run, and find the guys that can give you good advice. The busy ones are the best to ask. If those guys are truly busy, they'll tell you that up front. But most of them will find time to sit down and give advice. Read books. I mean, you already said you own books, but man, if you looked at all the books I have, there's probably 10 or 15 fiction books. Most of them are nonfiction, either about history or business. Business. Just, how to take care of yourself, how to take care of your business. I mean, the titles just go on and on.
I watched the Shark Tank. And sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's like, I have no clue what they're saying. So I was like, they released a book of like what everything does.
Okay. Yeah, when they're talking like ROI and this, that, and the other,
and
you're like...
And then it narrowed it down, and I was like, okay, I have a little sense of what they're doing, but then it's kind of like you're getting $100,000 for 8% of the company, so you're valuing it at this. Well, how would you get it valued at that? How would you know the numbers?
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to know.
Exactly.
Sometimes I know it a little bit, like I'll be sitting there with like, oh, well, they want $12 million for their company. They value it at that. So, I mean, I do see.
Yeah, and that's great research to have, because as you become more successful, you'll have folks wanting to come to you to partner on things or whatever.
Right.
I've had that happen.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, and I sit down and I have those conversations. Where are these projections coming from? What do you have, you know, that looks this way? Some things I've done a little bit in, some I just said, you know, I appreciate the opportunity, but it just isn't for me today.
Right.
Because if I can't see it, then I'm not going to bite off a huge
And see, that's
chunk.
kind of how I am, because from this, I was able to do a production company.
Okay.
Which is just because this is on iTunes and stuff like that, which is on a big platform, but sometimes you got to grow your listeners by having people talk about it and stuff like that. So I was like, I'm going to do a production company.
Okay.
And I'm going to put podcasts
Okay.
on. So mostly it's independent, because, I mean, I feel independent doesn't get the most praise that they should get.
Okay.
For example, like independent musicians,
Right.
stuff like that.
Yeah, okay.
That could somehow, if they get on here, somebody on iTunes could listen and blow them up.
Gotcha.
And so that's what I do. Like I would take, and I have people come to me with podcast ideas. I was like, can't do it. If you're gonna do it, you're not gonna put it on my production company, because it's not. I don't see any
There you go.
future in it. Because if you're gonna talk about the way kitchen tables were made, you're gonna probably make 2 episodes. Like, just for an example.
Right.
But
no, but I'm following you now. I understand what you're saying.
yeah, no, so I see exactly what
So
you're saying.
you're already at that stage, having to kind of filter stuff and screen things. And...
Oh, I became one of my great friends. He lives in Tennessee, close to Nashville, so he usually has a lot of give or take people he can get. And so, like, I took on a role of producer. So I'm like passing ideas to him. He's bringing them to me. Should we do this? Sure. Not making, but that's not the point. Not making any money, but I'm trying to get to that
experience.
point.
Yes.
And it's like, so I have to get on there. He send me his episodes. I have to edit them down. I have to do my own, book people, find things, and I'm like,
oh wow,
yeah, it's so like when I'm not.
Welcome to owning your own business.
Exactly, but I love it
Right.
because it's like it's just like me. I love to learn,
Sure.
and doing this is learning to me.
Yeah.
Because I learned a bigger inside of business because of talking to you. Because like, there's no way I'm gonna get the guy from Chick-fil-A or somebody like that to get. So it's like, and then it's so it's like I do have a tell of when I'm not working, I'm working.
Right.
It's kind of like how owning a restaurant for you is.
Right.
When you're not working, you're booking people. You're getting this. You're trying to get your dates right.
I may not be making a pizza, but I'm doing something else to help grow the business and take care of it. Yeah. You're
right. You come
right.
up with new ingredients, new ideas, and that's kind of how I look at it.
Hey, and I want to, before I forget about this talk, I invite you back on any Thursday night.
Okay.
If you want to do a podcast from here, get some of the band sounds, talk to the bands, we can get all that set up for you.
Okay.
You just,
cool, man.
I'll make sure you've got my number so we've got a better line of communication. It's cool.
If anybody wants to come on, like that's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't matter if you fill cups at Sonic.
Right.
If you have a story to tell,
okay,
I want to hear it.
Oh,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me because I like learning and what could this do for that one person filling cups at Sonic's.
Right.
That's how I look at it.
Right.
So
cool.
Jim, man, I appreciate you doing it.
Oh man, I had a blast. Thanks for inviting.